focus on Civil 3D when it comes to volume calculation. So the whole exercise today, our objective is to find how much cut, how much fill using Civil 3D. For this purpose, I will ask all of you, please right now, start your Civil 3D. That's if you want to do the exercise with me. If you want to do it later and just watch me doing it, that's fine. But if you want to do the exercise with me, please start your Civil 3D right now. Also, on the same time, so my Civil 3D is here, is ready for me. However, I need some data. If you want to find the data, please look up my screen. I'm looking at my D2L and go to module number 2, Earthworks. And you guys know that so far we covered those two presentation here. And then just below, you will see we have a Civil 3D tutorial. So under the tutorial, we have 3 different files. I want you guys to download all of them. So here is one. It's called Civil 3D tutorial number 2. And also you need to download a file called the design, which is a text file. I will do that right now. So download. Also, I will download existing ground data. So we'll go ahead and download this file as well. And for you guys, please download also the tutorial. So I want to make it clear before we start. I'm going to give you, a detailed description of the exercise. However, if you also look at Civil 3D tutorial 2, which is this file here, this PDF file, it also discuss all the process that we're doing today. And you can see we have a description, we have all the steps, we have a snapshot. I'm not sure, to be honest, if you have used the Civil 3D material on the D2L so far. Did you? Did any one of you guys download the Civil 3D material that I upload to my D2L so far?
I did.
So yeah, if you did, please go through and I'm open to recommendations. So if you have any comment or suggestion, please share it with me. I improve them over the years, but I only improve them on demand. Like I don't go like and do it because from my perspective, Tahir is the best, so my material is the best. But if you tell me no, you're not the best, here is you please do this and show me, this step is not clear. I would happily do that. Okay, so please go through the material, use those tutorials, and if you have any comments or something that's not clear, please share your thought with me. Okay, now, so I will for now start my exercise, and hopefully you guys are now ready. Here is my Civil 3D, and also need to remind you, we have downloaded two files. So the two files are a text file, which is for design and existing. I will just take a time and open the file for you. I'm pretty sure that you guys can figure out what this file is. The file name is existing ground, and we have here some data, data that probably was measured using total station. Okay, so the file format, which is important because you will need to import these points into Civil 3D. You guys understand that file format is important. So we have here a point number. We have here easting and then northing and elevation, and we don't have any description. So all the points are of the same description. Something also I want everyone to note is that we will solve this problem, and it is going to be the same, exactly the same as the one we have done manually. Okay, so you have this problem here that we have done this last class. We found the volume of cut for this problem last class manually, and we will do it today using Civil 3D. Okay, so at least we have a benchmark. We already figured out the volume. So after we finish the exercise, we'll just have to compare the results between the manual calculation and the Civil 3D calculations. Okay, so I'll minimize this for now. I'll come back here later. Okay, so here's my file. Anybody to tell me what should be my first step? Any help? What do you think? What should be my first step? I have an empty drawing. There is nothing in this drawing. So what do you think? What is my first step?
Import points.
Import point.
Exactly. So that's what I will do. I'll just go ahead and import the points. So you guys remember, we go from menu points. We go down to import/export. Finally, we hit import points. And you guys know that this process is, you've done it probably by now 3-4 times. Hopefully that's enough. And first thing is, where is my file? So my file is on my download. So I'll go here and I'll go to, I guess, you know, Tahir Hassan. I'll go to my download, and you know, my file is called existing ground. And please watch this. Watch is very important. I clicked on existing ground, and that's it. I did not import both files on the same time. You guys know that Civil 3D allows you to import several files of the same format on the same time. Can I do that right now? Can I import the existing and the design on the same step? What do you think? I'm just asking you, can I import the two files on the same time, or I should import them in a separate step?
Import them separately.
You have to, by the way, it's not a choice, because if you imported them on the same time, what happened is they will go into the same point group. They will be a mix and match between design and existing. And remember, design is something and existing is a different thing. Those are simply whether surveyed at different time or they represent different things on site. And that's why, please do not import them on the same step. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my file. Here is my file. Next is my file format. Don't forget, my file format is PENZ, no description. And we have a comma in between. 1 second, check that it's point number, easting, northing, elevation. So it looks good. And then finally, a common mistake is people, they hit OK. And if you hit OK, it means what? It means you have imported the points, but you have never built any or created any point group. It means where they go. What do you think? Where do they go if I hit OK right now? Where do they go?
Into all points.
Exactly. Is it a good idea? I don't think this is a good idea, because you will see next is I will have to do something with only these points. I don't want to mix any these points with any other points. So what you have to do is you check here and then you create a new group and you call this one EXIT, existing. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna call this one existing, and be careful because some of the common errors, you're importing existing points and by mistake you call this one design. So make sure that the point name matches the nature of these points. So those are existing points. I'm gonna hit OK. And then finally I hit OK. And what I will do is I will zoom extend, and my points are there. Now I know the points right now, it's kind of messy because there are so many numbers. I'm going to do something for your comfort to see the numbers. I will just go ahead and look at existing ground properties like you guys did before. And I will change, I will say, okay, you know, show me elevation only. And I will shrink the point size to probably only 1. Hit OK. And maybe I would also change the size of my elevation to be, let's say, 1. Again, this has nothing to do with the calculation. This is only to give you a better visualization. Let's hit OK right now, and let's look at this, please. So here is my data. This is my existing ground data. And before I proceed, I want you guys to make sure that we're working on the same data set. So I'm minimizing my window, and we'll move it to the side so you guys can check me. Could you please check me if we are using the same data set? Doesn't take long, huh? So this 9.8, 9.8, and 9.8. So quickly you can imagine that we are using the same data set, which means we have a benchmark for our volume, which is, so when we end this process, the volume should be around 3,391.25. We'll have a discussion later on, but for now, I want everyone to understand that this is exactly what we did manually. So any help for what should I do next? Any idea of what should I do next? Don't be shy, don't be scared, just try to share with me your thoughts. What do you think?
Maybe draw in the building or import your second data points.
Exactly. So my next step is to import the next data set. So I will do the same thing again. I'll come back to here and I will say points and I will say import from file and I will add my file. Remember, please don't import existing twice. Those are common mistakes. Students, they run into trouble because simply they are not paying attention. So we have imported the existing. Now time for design. So I will click on design. I will choose my format, which is the same format, PENZ. I will look at the format. So yes, that's point number, easting, northing, elevation, and you can see all the elevations are. What do you think? All the elevations are 9 meter. If you guys remember, when you look at our problem here, what was my grading elevation? If you remember from last class, what was my elevation, grading elevation? It was 9, it's over there. So that's why all the design is going to be 9. Now, finally, don't forget to hit enter. And one of the common mistake, you hit OK right now. Is that correct? Is that correct if I hit OK right now?
No, we have to make a new point group.
It's a mistake if you do it, if you hit OK right now, because your points will go into the existing, will be mixed with the other existing point. That's not correct, huh? So we go here and click on the point group and say, this is my design. So I will be importing my points in a separate point group. Now I am ready. I'm going to hit OK, and my points are in. Let's do some formatting. So I go to my design, I go to properties, and then I choose elevation only, and I will go to basic. I will make it a benchmark, and I will make a copy. Again, that's only formatting. If you don't follow, please just don't bother. I'm just trying to make them separate, like, look different. So I will come here and I will make a copy, and I will say, okay, elevation only, rotated 45 degrees, and I will go to my layout and I will make sure it is rotated by 45 degrees. And I will also make sure that the color is different. I will give the color here blue. Okay, so hit OK, hit OK, hit OK, and then one time hit OK, and you can see here is my design elevation. Now, I have a question for you. I hope that you guys understand that. For the existing ground, I have total of 25 points. Those are the points in red. For the design, I don't have 25 points. I only have total of 8 points. Do you think I really need 25 points, or those 8 points are enough? What do you think? What
Those 8
do
points
you
are enough.
The 8 points are enough. Thank you so much, because I'm going to ask you, what if I add here a point that has elevation 9, 9, 9, everything is 9? What do you think? Is just a redundant? It doesn't add anything to the surface definition, because my surface is just flat. It doesn't change. So those 8 points are enough, because those are simply the change of my ground. Because remember, we have a building here, and that's why where the ground kicks in or kicks out, we need a point. And that's it. We don't need any points of elevation 9 along this line. That is more than enough. Now you can see our steps right now involve with importing existing points, importing design points. Any guess what will be the next step? Again, you don't have to be 100% correct. Just share with me your thoughts. What do you think? Now I have some discrete points. What do you think about next step going to estimate the volume?
Find depth of cut and fill.
The cut and fill cannot be estimated right now because we do not work with discrete points. If you guys remember, these are discrete points. So we do, for example, right now, do we know the elevation here of my cursor? Do we? Do you know what's the secret to get a continuous representation of the ground?
Create a surface.
Thank you, sir. That's exactly what we will do. Right now, we have discrete points. We will create a surface. The surface is the secret or the key to do anything in Civil 3D. Whether you want to create contour lines or draw a profile or a cross section or find the volume, the surface is the secret. So we need to create a surface. Let me ask you, are we going to create one surface or two surfaces?
Two.
Two. Watch this, please. So I will now create two surfaces. Remember how you do it is very simple. You come here on the tool space like so, and you can see we have no surfaces so far. We don't have any. And then I will right click and I will say, okay, create a surface for me. I'll leave it for a second. It's as simple as you go to your tool space, you click on surfaces, you take a right click, and then finally you click on create surface. Now, when you create a surface at this stage, you need one thing, only one thing, a name. Okay? Please don't call them surface 1 and surface 2. It's not a good idea. So I'm going to call this one existing surface. Okay? Existing surface. Hit OK. So I have created only one right now. You can see if I expand the tool space and I will maximize a little bit, you can see here is my EX surfaces, our surface. Then I will create another one. So I'll come back on top of surfaces one more time, right click and create another surface. I will call this one design surface. Okay, design surface, and hit OK. Now you can see, if you remember, you can see there is nothing has happened, like my drawing is still the same. What exactly I'm missing? Anybody to remind me what I'm missing?
Points.
Excuse me, sir?
Point.
Exactly. I need to feed the points into the surface because yes, I do have two surfaces, but both of them so far, they are empty. So to do so, remember, look at this. I have to go to one of them, doesn't matter. There is no specific order. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to go to design first, since it's on the top. I go to design, I maximize, and then you can see here we have mask, watersheds, and then definition, and then finally you go to definition. Remember, we are working on the design. Very critical, because some people, they make mistake because they simply push the wrong data into a different surface. Now, what you can see is we're going to a point group because that's my data. And then I will take a right click and I will say add. So under definition, you click on point groups, you right click and you say add. And simply this will open for you all the point groups available in this drawing. You guys can see we have two point groups, design, existing, underscore all points. I'm asking you, do you think I should use underscore all points?
No.
That's a big mistake. At all points right now, it's a mix and match between existing and design. Just you're mixing banana with apple, it doesn't work. You must pick one specific type. So remember, we're going under design, and that's why I must use design points. Because some of the mistakes is you're working under design, but you push the existing, and this will create confusion. So I'm going to click on design and then hit OK. And here we go. I have built my first surface. And you can see the green line is the boundary or the border of the surface. However, there is no contour line. Can anybody guess for me why there is no contour lines at all in this surface?
The intervals are too big. Like set too big.
It's a flat surface. Remember, it's 9, so it has no contour line. Even if you make your contour interval so tiny, it is a flat surface. It means it will never be intersected. Actually, there is only one contour line, which is the boundary. So the boundary is also contour line number 9. It's a flat surface, so no matter what you do with the contour interval, it doesn't show any contour line because it's a flat surface, completely horizontal surface, so no contour lines. Next is, I'm asking you, anyone can guess what should be my next step?
Add existing point.
Okay, perfect. So you can see my existing ground still empty. I'm going to expand. I will expand definition. I will go on top of point groups. I will take right click and then I will add. And remember, we also have the same discussion. I'm going to add existing. Make sure you add existing and then hit OK. And then here we go. Why do I see some contour lines now? Because my existing ground surface is up and down. And so we are going to get some contour lines. How many? It depends on the contour interval. But you will get few. I can see here my contour interval probably 2 meters. And I got only through contour lines. If I change that to 1 meter, then I will get more contour lines. Okay, now we're very close, by the way. So here we go. We have two surfaces. I'm asking you right now. I will show you my problem because don't forget that this is the problem we're trying to solve. Okay, don't forget. I'm asking you, are we ready right now to find the volume or there is something I need to do? Look at this problem. We're trying to solve this problem here. Any guess?
Make a grid.
Say it again, please.
Grid lines.
No, sir. Like, do you see anything that is not included in my drawing? I'll show you the PDF file.
Draw the building.
The building. So far, guys, so far, the software took all the data and built a surface with the whole footprint. However, in this problem here, I do have a building. And if I proceed right now, what volume I'm going to get? I'm going to get the volume as if the building will be demolished at elevation 9, which is not the case, because my problem here, it has existing ground or existing building to remain. So any guess what should I do to make my drawing matches this problem? There's something we discussed already in our classes. Are we able to remove part of the surface? Do we have this ability in Civil 3D?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So before I do that, I will just do some formatting to make it better. So you know what? I don't need the points right now. So I'll just go ahead and hide the points. And you guys remember, how do I hide the points? This is something always my students, they forget about it. In order, if you want to hide some points, you just go to the properties and choose none and none for the point and point label style. I'll do the same thing for the existing. I'll come back here and I will say existing, make please hide the points and the labels. Hit OK. Right now I'm going to hide my, I hide already my points. And can anybody remind me, what do we call the process where we want to remove the building? We've done this in our class. Do we have to edit the surface? Do we have to edit the surface? Do you guys remember in my class when I removed some of the 10 lines?
Don't you create new boundaries?
You can do that. So that's a good idea, by the way. So that's a good idea. You can draw a polygon that simply shows you the boundary. So that's one good idea. Thank you so much if you offer this one. But also, and we can do it right now, by the way. So I can say polyline. But to be honest, I don't see the building. So if I want to do that, I need to return the points again. So I go to the properties. I go to my make it benchmark or something. Okay. And so now I know where is the building. Otherwise, before I don't know where is the building. And then now, as you recommended, I can simply go to the OSNAP. So I make OSNAP on, and I choose node, because all the several 3D points are node, and I simply can start, connecting these points like so to simply draw the boundary of my calculations, and then close. So here is the boundary, and I can simply add this boundary to my surface. Okay. Now let's do that. But you know what? I'll do something before I kind of add the boundary. You guys know that visualization is very important. So let's visualize the situation right now. Anybody to remind me, how do we visualize things in 3D?
Object viewer.
Thank you. So look at what I'm gonna do. I'm going to cross and choose everything, not the points, huh? So I simply crossed everything. So cross two surfaces plus the polygon. I will right click and I will go to object viewer. One more time. If you want to see better in 3D, what is the situation? You need to cross whatever you want to see in 3D, like so. Then right click and take everything to object viewer. Okay. And in object viewer, you can see I'm turning things in 3D. Let me ask you, the red surface is what? What do you think? What is the red surface? What is the red
The
surface?
existing ground.
Existing ground. What is the gray surface? The gray surface below. What do you think?
Possible? Elevation.
The design surface. Do you see the polygon that excludes the building from this angle? Anyway, you've seen the situation right now, and because I want to show you this one more time after I add my boundary, okay? I want to show you the same thing one more time after I change my boundary or add the boundary. So I'll close this one here, and I will simply go to existing surface, okay? And I will go to definition. What do you think? What should I do right now? Any help? I want to add a boundary to my surface.
Go to boundaries and hit add. Right click add. Yeah.
And then add, and then all you have to do is just say, for example, outer. So I'm going to say outer boundary, and then make sure that the type is outer, then hit OK, and then finally the software is asking you select the object. So I will add this object to my surface. Now I have added a boundary. Can we check that? Or how can we check I've done it right? What do you think? How can I check if I'm adding this right? Do you think if I go to object viewer one more time, it would help me?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take everything one more time to object viewer, and let's look at what situation right now. Watch this. Do you see what happens to my red bloody surface? You can see here the building footprint has been removed. Do you see that? Okay, so I guess yes, you can see clearly here. So there is no building. Now the question is for you. I have removed the building footprint from the existing ground. Should I repeat the same process again and remove the building from the design, or that's enough?
That's enough, maybe.
The answer is, which is very tricky, the answer is simply it's enough. It is enough. You don't have to go and add the boundary one more time to your design. And I'll tell you the secret, huh? Remember, the volume by definition, it has to have an upper surface and lower surface. If you have one surface, do you think you can estimate volume? If you have one surface, can you estimate a volume?
No.
So guys, to find a volume, you must have to surfaces, an upper bound and lower bound. And let me show you back in object viewer. I'm asking you, in the building area, do we have an upper bound right now? Do
No,
we have an upper bound?
no, we don't.
So that's why the software will simply cannot do anything in this area. So removing the building from two surfaces is just optional, huh? It doesn't do anything. One removal is okay. You can see it apart from the building, you will see we can find volume because there is an upper bound, which is the red, and there is a lower bound, which is the gray. In the building area, there is only lower bound, which means the software cannot do anything. And that's why, please don't worry about removing the building footprint from the design. Now we are ready to find the volume. But I want to summarize the steps for you guys so far. Before we do that, number one, import your points. Number two, build a surface. Number three, edit the surface if required. Okay? Repeat the whole process for the other data set. And now we are ready to find the volume. Let me show you how. We are ready to find the volume.
Tahir?
I'm going to show you the steps. Any
Tahir?
comments so far?
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, I drew the rectangle instead of that. Just while I was like making the boundary of polyline, and accidentally I just made a rectangle, and now I think all the surface is screwed up.
You can simply, like in Civil 3D, you can simply go back. So all you have to do is click on the boundary and then delete. Okay, we can do that right now. Huh? So all you have to do is you click on the boundary and then you delete the boundary. And if you delete the boundary, the surface will go back. And also one thing you can do, look at this please. Look at my tool space. So if I click on boundary on the tool space, below there is here one boundary is called outer. If I right click and I can say delete, what happens is this will reverse the process and the surface will go back to where it was before. Okay?
Okay, but then it shows the yellow rectangle to rebuild. What it should I rebuild it or no?
If you see the yellow rectangle, it's very simple. You click on the surface name like so, and then right click and say rebuild, or make it rebuild automatic. So in the future, if you do any change, it will rebuild itself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I have
so
a quick
guys,
question too,
oh,
if
go ahead.
possible. So when we made our boundaries, we used a polyline in this case, but when we did our roads, didn't we use like a 3D line or something?
That's called the brick line. So there is a difference between brick lines. So look at the tool space. There are some called the brick lines, and there are some called the boundary. Boundary, it can be even two-dimensional, like it doesn't have to have any elevation. However, brick lines, by definition, it must be in 3D. So elevation can change along the line. And that's why the difference between a polyline and a 3D polyline, a polyline can have one elevation. It can be all of it is 9 or all of it is 10, but it doesn't change the elevation. The only Civil 3D element that can go up and down in space is 3D polyline. So when you do brick lines, it's a must. It has to be 3D polyline. Brick lines, it can be only polyline even with zero elevation. It doesn't matter. It just defines the horizontal extent of your surface.
Thank you.
No problem. So I'll go back here, and again, we're heading into our last step to find the volume, okay? To do that, we use a tool in Civil 3D called Volume Dashboard. Volume Dashboard. To find the volume dashboard, watch this please, and this is something we've done in the past. If I click on the surface, what do you expect? If I click on the surface, what happens? Look at my ribbon here, and we've done this several times before. As I am away from my surface, here is my ribbon. If I click on the surface will be blue and selected, and same time my ribbon will change. We've done this before when we added the surface. We've done this before when we add labels. So we know, and we've done this when you check visibility, and we've done this when we did water drop analysis. Okay. Now, one more tool, it's called the volume dashboard. I'm going to leave my cursor for you guys to read. Please take your time and read what this tool does for you. So obviously, when you do the reading, it says calculates cut and fill and net volume between surfaces. And let's go ahead and click on volume dashboard. And so volume dashboard, it comes as a panorama window. And you guys know panorama windows, huh? They are tricky. Sometimes when you click on volume dashboard, that's what you see. It is simply hidden. It is not hidden. It is auto hide. So please make sure you click on auto hide so it will stay. Okay, so this is a utility in Civil 3D allowing you to find the volume. To find the volume, you can see here there are some icons. This icon here, for example, it says create a new volume surface. Create a new volume surface. Now, before I start, I want to mention the difference between a surface and a volume surface. So the surface that you learned so far is a kind of a shell, huh? It's a shell. While volume surface, it's simply, it requires two surfaces. A surface is just one shell. Volume surface, it needs two shells, an upper bound and lower bound to find the volume. And that's the secret. So let's go ahead and create a new volume surface. It is icon number 1, 2, and 3 from the top left. Create new volume surface. And it's very simple, to be honest. You need a name. I will call this one cut fill, cut dash fill. And you can give it any name you like. Cut dash fill March 2014, any name you like. A description, a style if you wish. So those are kind of optional. Huh? Minimum is a name. So cut and fill. The next one is super important, and that's the tricky part. This one is the cause of the problem. So the software is asking you the volume surfaces, and it gives you a two surfaces. Huh? You need to add two surfaces. Civil 3D called them base and comparison. Civil 3D called those surfaces a base and comparison. To be honest, this is confusing because a student will ask which one should be the base and which one should be the comparison. Remember, so far we have two surfaces. One is called design and the other one is existing. So which one should I do? Remember, when I click here and I try to select my base surfaces, it gives me a list of all the surfaces available in this drawing. Now, which one should be the base and which one should be the comparison? I'll give you my golden rule. The golden rule is the base is where you start, and the comparison is where you end. Where you start and where you end. This is my best explanation for the base and the comparison. I'm asking you, in this problem here, where do we start?
Existing.
Okay, great. And where do we end?
And the 9-meter elevation.
Exactly, sir. So that's what I will do right now. I'll come here, I click once, and then to the far right, I get this button here. I open it, I choose existing because existing is my base, is where I start. And for comparison, I come here, I do the same thing. I click on here and I do design, I hit OK. Now, some of you will say, is the order important? Like, what if I reverse? What's going to happen? If I choose this one to be base is design and this one existing, can anybody guess what is going to happen if I reverse and switch my surfaces?
We'll have a fill instead of a cut.
Yes, sir. So what happened is the number you get for the cut will be for the fill, and the number you get for the fill, it will be the cut. And for our problem here is easy, by the way. Like for our problem here, it is easy to know if you've made a mistake, because simply all the elevations are above 9 and we're going to 9. So before we do any single calculation, we know beforehand that the volume will be volume of cut. You guys agree? So if I use Civil 3D and it gives me volume of fill, so the interpretation is I have switched those. But I'll tell you something, in reality, things are not easy like that. In reality, it's not like you know how much cut or you know the type of the cut or fill before you start. And that's why this sequence here is very important. And I gave you my golden rule. Base is where you start, and then comparison is where you end. Here is a question for you to see if you guys got the point, okay? So in reality, when you have a project, you don't find the volume at the end of your project. You find the volume almost every month because you want to pay the contractor. Huh? So what you have to do is you send your surveyor to the site every month. Every start of the month, they go to the site and they do a survey. I'll give you an example. Let's say you send your surveyor to the site on February 1st. And he or she gave you some points. And then you send them back on March 1st. And they give you another survey. I'm asking you, which one will be the base and which one will be the comparison?
February base, March comparison.
Thank you, sir. Exactly. So my rule is easy. Huh? The base is where you start. The comparison is where you end. That's the rule. Okay. Remember this. So look at this, please. That you're done. By the way, you're done. You can hit OK right now, but there is a little discussion here. Do you guys learn anywhere in your study something called cut factor and fill factor? That's not surveying, huh? You study somewhere in CVT about something called cut factor and fill factor. Did you remember the course where you learned about?
Is that bulking?
Exactly, sir. That's a soil mechanics, huh? When the soil sits down for 100,000 years, it is compressed. And if you take it out, it will expand, okay? That's why sometimes we multiply by 1.1%, okay? So sometimes we change, but for this exercise, I will just leave the numbers as 1 and 1. It means I'm not going to multiply my cut volume by number or my fill volume by another number. Okay, watch this, please. As I hit OK, there is something is going to happen here. The software will do all the calculation and present for me the results. Watch this. Please take a look at my screen. So there is a cut volume here, which is this is my new cut, my new volume surface, and my cut factor is 1. My fill factor is 1. My area is 1400 square meter. My cut is 3415. My fill is equal to 0. Remember this, huh? I don't have any fill. I have 0 fill. And the net is simply to the side of the cut. The net is simply the cut minus the fill. And look at the graph. The graph here is simply all red. It means all cut. Easy peasy, huh? That's easy. So I got my volume right now. Okay. Now, I want to show you something is very nice. What if I want to simply change? I change my mind and I want to go to elevation 11 instead of 9. Okay. But before I do so, let's take a look on how this is compared to my final result using manual calculation. Any help? Watch this, please. So here, this number here is the number I got using manual. And this number here I got using Civil 3D. Are they close enough?
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Pretty close. Okay, so if I ask you which one you think is more accurate, but don't tell me Civil 3D because it's a software, huh? Which one you think is more accurate? Which number is more accurate? Is it 3415 or 3391? Which one is more accurate?
I think Civil 3D because it considers more points.
So your answer is first part is correct. So Civil 3D is more accurate, but not because it considers more point, because it considers the diagonal. If you remember back in time, if I go and show you the surface, the 10, which is I can do that in a second. So let's say existing, and I can go to the surface properties, and I can change my style into contours and triangle, and hit OK. Remember, when I take this guy into the object viewer, see, this is the surface. This is my surface here, and it considers a triangle. Look at this place. So those are triangle. In my calculation, do you remember what was my base figure? I'll show you this one more time. Do you remember in this calculation here, what was the repeated pattern that I used to do the calculation? Was it a triangle or something else?
A square?
Was a square. Which one you think is better, square or triangle? Which one will give a better result?
Triangle.
The triangle will give a better result for sure, but if you remember, we had the same discussion when we built our contour line. Our contour line, we interpolated only along the sides of the square, while Civil 3D will do more effort and interpolate along diagonal. And as I said, if you remember, diagonal is not easy to figure out which diagonal, huh? So anyway, I'll make it short. Civil 3D will for sure will give you a better results, but you can see even the manual will give you also a very close result to the best results. Okay. Now, before we break, I have something very interesting to show you. Okay. Now, guys, I'm asking you here, what if I come to this problem here and I change my mind? I want to level my ground to elevation 11. Okay, so I want to change this one to 11. Before I do any calculation, do you expect to see cut or fill or both of them?
Both of them.
Both of them, because simply 11 is in between the minimum and the maximum. So we will see both of them. I'll show you how easy to do that on Civil 3D. Watch this. So I'm going to go to my surface, which is my design. So I'm going to choose my design. So I'm going to click on design surface here, and I will right click and I will say select. Okay, because it's very hard to select. Otherwise, you have to hide the existing. It's very difficult to select the existing, the design by itself only here. And that's why it's easier to do it from tool space. I come to my tool space and I will right click and I will say select. So this will do the selection. Now you can see as I select my surface, I get this ribbon here. And if I drop the window, can anybody tell me what should I do to change the elevation of the 9 to 11? Did I teach you anything in this class that allows you to raise or lower your surface by a constant value?
Swap edge.
No. Look at the menu and you will see. We're not swapping edges. My point is right now my surface elevation is constant at 9. I want to make it 11. Did I teach you any command in this class to be able to raise and take the 9 and make it 11?
Raise.
Raise
Right.
surface.
Raise or lower. So all you have to do is click here, and remember, we're selecting the design. We're not selecting existing ground. We're selecting design, and we're raising it by how much? Any help? I want to go from 9 to 11. Any help?
2.
So I'm gonna type in 2. That's correct. I will hit OK, and as I hit OK, you know the software already raised. And if the check for you is, I'll do that. I'm gonna take everything to my object viewer, because object viewer, you don't know how much it's handy. It can give you a better visualization. Watch this. If I go to object viewer now, please let me know. Do you see what's happening right now? This is very difficult, huh? because if I get a different angle here, you see my design is not always below the existing, rather than my design is intersecting with my existing. Okay, I'm not sure if you see that here, huh? Do you see that on this angle here? My design became 11, and my existing sometimes is below, sometimes is above, and that's why they intersect. Okay, so now you see also on my tool space. Do you see something on my tool space? Do you see anything weird on my tool space?
It needs to be rebuilt.
Okay, perfect. You can see my cut and fill surface because I have changed one of the component of cut and fill, the volume surface. Then I get this zero triangle. You guys know what to do. You right click and then you say rebuild surface automatic. Okay, rebuild surface automatic. Watch this. You can see still my panorama windows here. My volume dashboard is here. And please look at the numbers right now. Look at the numbers. So how much is my cut right now? It's 882. And how much is my fill? 266. And the net, which is the cut minus the fill, it is 615 and to the cut. Okay. And look at the diagram. That was everything was red a minute ago. Now we have red and green. Remember, red is in cut and green is in fill. I'm asking you just something on the side. What is the best? If I want to come and minimize the soil that I will simply have to remove from the site, what this diagram should look like? If I want to minimize the soil that simply will be removed or imported from outside, what this diagram should look like?
50-50.
It should be 50-50 and your net should be 0. Okay, so you can see we can make even trial and error. We can keep increasing my diagram until those numbers become the same and with a 0 net, and we have 50-50, and then we're done. The good news is when we do something, the software is kind of dynamically update the volume surface, and you don't have to repeat the process. If I change one of the component, the software will automatically update the numbers. Okay, watch this please. For example, let's say I change my mind, I want to go back to 9. Anybody to help me to do that without doing undo? Anybody would help me to do that without undo?
This time put -2 to decrease the elevation.
You can do that for sure. You can simply go to and choose your design and drop it down by 2 meters. Or I need to remind you of the edits. Huh? Remember, under definition of the surface, if you click on edit, you see what happens. Huh? It keeps track of all the edits that you have done in your surface, and you can simply click on the edit that you don't like, and then what to do? Any help?
Delete.
Delete. So I can right click and say delete. And when I say delete, what happens here? Look at this. So I get my yellow triangle, which means I am not up to date. I click here, I right click and say rebuild our surface automatic. And here we go. I can open my panorama window again, and then I don't have to do anything else. You can see my number went back to the original number. So 3400 with 0 fill, and everything is cut here with the red diagram. Are you guys following?
Yes.
Okay, so with this one, now it's 11 o'clock. We will take 10 minutes a break. I'll see you guys 11:10. Thank you so much.